So you're joining us for the 2022 National Strip-Tillage Conference to give a lecture on managing soil compaction for better strip-till outcomes. Can you give us a little bit of an overview of what you'll be talking about?
Well, reducing compaction is actually good for all tillage systems and no-till, because in no-till, you have no chance of getting any of that compaction back out of there. So we'll be talking about things that we can't control, like the weather, and that you got to get planted and you got to harvest. And sometimes the whole field isn't fit. But there are things you can control, and that is your axle loads and the PSI of your tires. And we'll talk a little bit about tracks versus tires. And then also one of the ways to alleviate compaction is either with subsoiling with a straight shank, and alongside that, you should be building your soil health, because those little soil aggregates act like mini columns in the soil, and they help hold up the weight of equipment going over. And then so building soil health and looking at, like I said, the PSI and the axle loads, and just kind of going from there. So there's things we can control and there's things we can't.
Mm-hmm. In terms of the equipment side of it, talking about tracks versus tires, what are some of your recommendations there?
Well, I think the companies have sold tracks as making no compaction, that they just float across the field. And compaction is based on the PSI, which gives the intensity of the compaction, and then axle load, which tells you how deep that's going to go into the soil. And when you're looking at a tractor, it still has all the weight. Actually, it has a little bit more weight. Tracks weigh more than tires. And it's so it still pushes that compaction down. The intensity is going to be based on the configuration of that track. So there's little guide wheels in between, and they put down pressure points into the soil. So if you look at a track and its average PSI is, say, 5, which is awesome, that's a great number, those pressure points can put down 15 PSI. So I just don't want farmers to have a false sense of security that, just because you're floating across the field does not mean you're not compacting.